Are you set up on, are you set up on?
Set up for, yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Seriously? You just have a little thing blinking on there? It's all good? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, and I'll just edit it later, take out any dead spots.
Camera hates me, I know.
It hates me too?
It hates me. I am not cute or thin on any picture of me that I've ever seen.
Yo, what's up YouTube? This is your boy Will Motivation. We're actually gonna head over to my title company because today I am closing on another real estate deal, but this time it's a little bit different. This time I'm actually doing a refinance and I'm pulling out equity out of one of my properties, out of my office space that I've been paying on for the last 10 years. And I'm going to try to get a little short interview with the title company owner as well as one of the local bank presidents or vice presidents. I'm going to basically try to get a little bit of information out of them to share with you guys on how to select the local bank. You guys know I talk about local banks a lot because I like to use them for my financing. And then, maybe some information about selecting a title company. So, check it out. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the form. I'm going to put in your copy packet. You want to set the account for auto pay?
Yes.
Just return that to us with a canceled check attached to that document.
Okay.
Sometime, I'd say 2 weeks prior, October 1st.
Okay.
So we get set up for your October payment.
The statements will be mailed to the office location.
If you do auto pay, it's just going to draft automatically. It's not going to send you a statement. If you
Okay,
do not,
I'll probably get a statement.
okay, you'll know your statement.
Okay.
To your address.
Okay.
Corporate address.
Yeah, and you sign the same way to remember. Are you set up on, are you set up on?
Set up for, yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Seriously? You just have a little thing blinking on there? It's all good? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, and I'll just edit it later, take out any dead spots.
Camera hates me, I know.
It hates me too?
It hates me. I am not cute or thin on any picture of me that I've ever seen. So, this is the amount, this is your current mortgage, what we're going to be paying off. These are your total closing costs for this loan. And this is the breakdown of what those total closing costs are. Those are your lender fees. This is your daily interest. This is where they are setting up your escrow account.
Yeah.
So this is your title insurance. There is a settlement fee, and there is a binder, and then we did the title fee, and that's what the abstractor charged us. I told Courtney that this should never ever be on one of your loans, so those won't be on any more of your loans. So that's more points toward our rib. So I'm going to tell you about that one in a minute.
Okay.
And so then we get your reissue, but because you had title insurance on your prior mortgage, so this was the amount that we saved on your title insurance. These are recording fees to record your mortgage. Those are your total closing costs. That figure's carried back here. This is your current mortgage payoff. This is the amount of your loan, and this is the amount of money that we are going to be filing to your account today.
Right.
Okay. Questions?
No questions?
Okay.
Where do I sign?
You sign.
So you don't have any auto payments on your current loan, right? You're making annual payments
Only for
or paying off.
Oh, I had like a bank bill pay set up with the US Bank, but I think I canceled
So
it.
just make sure you cancel that going forward.
Yeah.
Pay off.
I think
yes.
yes.
No.
But I do have to cancel the tax payments.
This is a certification that you've seen the settlement statement, that that's your knowledge those figures are true and accurate, and that you're aware that we as the escrow agent are going to be responsible for dispersing the file, and that we have used current tax returns. And this is a breakdown of your fees, and this is the insured personal protection letter. That's your title insurance minus the credit. In 2008, when the housing market took a turning different direction, there were several title companies that did inappropriate things with consumer monies. And at that time, there was a product warrant called closing protection coverage. This is the optional insurance policy that protects the money. Protects the money that the lender sent to us, or protects the money that you wired to us against loss, theft, or misappropriation of funds. It also protects you from those closing instructions that your lender sent to us, to make sure that we did them the way that we should be doing. Signing the first three acknowledgements that I told you about it, then you have the option to accept it or decline it. If you accept it, it's going to cost you $20. It's a separate check to Stewart Title Guarantee, and you'll have the coverage if you need something with your lender. If you do not want it, you just say nope, sign, and then move forward. Since you're adding it, I guess I can talk about this. I don't know how much you want me to explain these.
You just like usual, how we do.
Sure. Well, the usual, I just pass it. This is that 30% discount, acknowledging that 30% discount that you received because you had a prior mortgage and you refinanced within 10 years.
Okay.
Your education. This is giving us permission to pay off your current mortgage and close out the account, and there is an attached mortgage to that.
Is this your notary?
This is my notary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely, it's right, just follow her, it's right
Okay.
out front.
Thank you.
This, and we do based on Ohio Revised Code. Those are all the rules and regulations, things we do, are allowed to do and not allowed to do, and what we're responsible for and not responsible for. This is a compliance form. If there are additional documents that your lender needs for you to sign in order to go through this process, you agree that you will sign those documents, and should they sell the servicing agreement, you're giving them permission to sell on all the documents that go along with the
Okay.
And this is the same form, but this one also says that if you forgot a date, I can put a date in, or if there's any typographical errors. This is an affidavit stating that you have not used the property as collateral for additional debt. There's no pending assessments that you're aware of, you haven't had any work done, that you haven't paid for, that they could file a mechanics lien against the property. This is acknowledging that you haven't built anything on the boundaries that would affect or make us have to do a survey.
Nothing there?
Yeah, this is telling us how you want your money.
Sweet.
Is that correct?
That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Actually, it's my favorite one as well. I just need a voided check where you want it sent. And you can email it to me, you can text it to me, you can do whatever. If you have your account numbers and give them to me now, we'll go ahead, but I just need a picture of a check from the account with your name on it.
Okay.
Offset or active.
I'll just email it for her.
That's fine, we can do that. You're not going to see your title policy, because even though you paid for it, it's not yours. Your lender owns it, so when we get it back, we're going to send it back to your lender. If you want a copy of it, I can't even get you a copy. You have to get it from your lender, because they own it. Even though you paid for it, they own it.
Okay.
You need your copy if you want.
Yeah.
No problem.
There's also a customer complaint form in this packet here. If you have any complaints about what I've done, if you let me fill it out, let me have it, I'll make sure it gets to where it needs to go.
I don't think I need that one.
And, we'll go ahead and get this wired to you, and I will go ahead and get your mortgage. Is this anything you need notarized?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to notarize it, just get a copy of it.
Okay. Let me go get you a copy of this. And this is all I need. I just need the original here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Moss.
With you as well.
Copies of everything in your copy packet, Will.
Perfect. And if I could, if you're not too busy, ask you just a couple of
Absolutely.
questions.
Sure.
I know we've done several transactions at this point, and I want to say I appreciate it. It's been
Same
great
here.
doing business with you.
We love having you as a customer.
Appreciate that. If you could just kind of say what your responsibilities are there at the banks, just so people know
Sure.
who I'm working with, and I think that'd be good.
Sure. My name's Brian Murray. I work with First Federal Savings, or work for First Federal Savings. Primary job role is mortgage production for the bank. I deal with new and existing clients. I also serve on our management team. So overall, you manage the bank's functionality, set rates for the bank. But that's probably my primary goal right now is to produce mortgage loans for the bank.
Excellent, and you do a great job.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say, when I first started getting into real estate, I went to some of the big banks. Like, I had a lot of money in Chase Bank. I had existing mortgages with Wells Fargo. I had a lot of money in U.S. Bank, and I wanted to start investing in real estate. And at that point in time, they just weren't doing mortgages at that point in time. So I talked to a buddy of mine who was also an investor. I talked to some realtors, and they said, why don't you try this bank or that bank? And they happen to be local banks. So maybe if you could just talk a little bit about the difference between your bank and some of the bigger banks, and some of the advantages for investors to work with banks like yours.
I guess speaking for my company in general, our business is all about relationships. We create, develop, and hold on to long-term relationships with investors. For my customers, as you know, you deal with me from day one to the closing table. Any issues that might arise, you're going to call me and ask me questions. So I think it's a comfort level that you have, and that to know that you got face and a name if there's any issues that arise. The bigger banks, I can't say that that's true for them. There's different levels of departments, and just a bigger organization in general. So the smaller banks can handle the one-on-one relationships, which we value. And as you know, I hold on to your information, so if you need something, it's just a phone call, and we roll to the next deal pretty easily.
Yes, exactly. So, do you know why it is that is it that local banks are more comfortable with local real estate? Because, like I said, I couldn't even talk to like a Chase or whatever.
That's a good question. We are comfortable because we know our market.
Okay.
We know the real estate values in Columbus. We know basically we get a handle. We're out visiting properties. We're doing inspections. So we're comfortable with lending in the Central Ohio market because that's our backyard and that's where we're comfortable.
Perfect. So I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but I do appreciate you for taking the time to kind of talk, because the information that you're sharing may benefit someone out there that's looking to invest and they don't know who to work with.
Right.
So I highly recommend working with banks like First Federal Savings, and if I can send any business your way, I'd be glad to do that.
I would appreciate it. Yeah, I would recommend that if anybody's looking to invest in real estate or to buy a personal residence, pick up the phone, start early in the process, set an appointment, do a face-to-face, sit down, ask a lot of questions, make sure somebody looks at your credit, make sure somebody looks at your financials, get yourself pre-qualified. The real estate market is very hot right now, so you want to make sure that you are pre-qualified to buy a property before you go try to make a contract.
Excellent
That's
advice.
my advice.
One last question. Do you work more with investors or like families, single purchasers, I guess general consumers that want to buy a house?
Yeah, good question. I do both. I would say the majority of what I do is with investors, because I have the relationship over the past 23 years with individuals who have followed me during my career.
Oh, cool.
So that's good repetitive business, and it's just the comfort level we have, the service level we provide. The majority of my investments, my production would be in the investment world.
Okay. Excellent. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks,
and
Will.
I won't take too much of it, but it's
Appreciate
been great doing
Yeah.
business with you, and I'm sure
Likewise.
to see you again.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have to sign anything else, or
No, you're done.
so I can start interviewing you?
Oh, you're good.
No, I just wanted because like I talk a lot about investing in real estate and banks that I use, but every time I do a transaction, I've got to go through a title company, and so I have my preferred title company, which is Great American Title, and
Appreciate that.
and I appreciate you. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about when somebody's selecting a title company, what they should look for, and what are some of the important things to know.
Sure.
Because to be honest with you, I think a lot of people don't know the difference because they're like, when you go do a deal, it's just like, okay, pick a title company, right? So what should they be looking for in when they select a title company?
First of all, what a lot of people don't know is that whoever pays for the title insurance gets to pick the title company. So in most transactions, if it's a purchase transaction, it's the seller who pays for the title insurance, and they're the ones who get to pick the title company. I personally think the most important thing is your relationship. I agree that face-to-face interviews, because every title company in the state of Ohio has the same pricing.
Okay.
We're all governed by the Ohio Department of Insurance. What sets us apart and what we are, the two price that are different are our closing costs and our title exam. Those are the two that I see the most that vary. But it's that personal relationship, because anybody can close the deal. The true test of a title company is what happens
When there's a
after
problem.
when there's a problem.
Yeah.
How do you handle
Yeah.
that problem?
Yeah.
And one of the things I think that's very unique about Great American Title Agency is that it doesn't matter whose fault it is. If there's an issue that arises, we will take care of that issue, and then on the back end, we will go where we need to go to try and rectify that problem so that the client, the buyer, the seller, the investor are not getting a whole lot of calls up front, like, make this right, we need paid on this, how does that happen? We just go ahead, if we get the call, we go ahead and we take care of it, then we figure out on the back end how to make it right to us. Sometimes we win, sometimes and we get that money back, and sometimes we don't. But I truly believe that it's your customer service and the relationships that you build that set you apart. So if you are looking for a title company, I truly think you need to interview them. You need to go in, you need to sit down. You need to ask that question. What do you do if there is a problem? What do you do if after the fact you realize that there's an extra lien on the property?
I was gonna say, what kind of problems come up, and I actually have experienced that with you guys, where you taken care of things like, I guess what would be typical is maybe there's some bill due on the property or something like that, that are kind of hard to find when you're closing, and you guys have always taken care of that for me. But are there typical problems that come up that people should be aware of?
The most typical are homeowners association and condo associations. If you're an investor and you're buying a property, you don't know if there is the homeowners association, and if nobody tells you, and you go ahead and close on the property, and all of a sudden 3 weeks later you got a note that says, hey, you owe us some money, or the prior owner owes us money. Those are the most typical things that we see happening in our homeowners and condo associations. Recently though, we've been starting to see some title issues, where we have one right now where 12 years ago there was someone in title, and the property has gone through 7 different owners, and realizing there was a bankruptcy, there was a foreclosure, there was a HUD sale, there was 2 investors involved, and then finally the last person, and it's from 12 years ago. Wow. And so now, we're in the process of dealing with that. We actually got it taken care of and got it dealt with, and worked with the title policy that was issued, and actually got the gal out of the home, and she sold it and moved forward.
Excellent.
Yes, but that's the majority of what we see are homeowners and condo association dues and fees that are due after the fact.
So you want to pick a good title company and work with good people like Sherry. So
I'd just like to also say that if you are buying a property, especially if you're an investor and you're looking at the online auction items online, is have somebody run a preliminary title search for you. Because if you're buying the property blind, without ever knowing at like a sheriff's sale. You want to make sure that there's nothing on that property.
Okay.
So one of the services that we provide for our investors is that if you are looking to buy the property, we will run the title search for you at no charge.
Oh,
And then when you get the property, we would just, hope that you would
Yep.
send the property to us.
Excellent. Great insight, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. It's been great working with you. I think we've done probably 30-some
We've done a lot.
transactions.
I remember our first meeting. It was
yeah.
awesome. It was wonderful.
We do ribs together.
We do ribs.
We'll invite you next time. But I appreciate you both, and I hope this helps somebody out there who's thinking about investing and wondering what kind of banks they should work with, or also what type of title companies they should work with. So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
All right, so we handled the closing, and big shout out to Sherry at Great American Title Agency and Brian with First Federal Savings. They're in the Central Ohio area, so if you're in the area and you're looking for some people to work with that are great, I highly recommend both of them. So thanks. I'm about to get me something to eat now, and see you guys back at the office.